Her name's Christine. But forget that for now, because one second she's walking like any other day, and the next, a black car screeches in, metal kissing pavement. Too close, way too close. She stumbles, hits the ground. Everything slows. 2 seconds. That's all it was. 2 seconds that flipped her world inside out, and she had no idea. That was the day the storm began. The moment she crossed paths with him in something that seemed like an accident on the outside, but on the inside, it was loaded. Now, let's talk about him, Julian, the one they called the mystery millionaire. Nobody knew exactly where the money came from. Real estate, investments, or something darker. What mattered was the image. Sharp suits, faster cars, and a reputation that traveled faster than his name. By day, he was polished. A man you'd spot stepping out of a sleek black ride, watch glinting under the sun, smile disarming. By night, he was a shadow. Whispers in clubs, deals in corners, and a trail of stories that left everyone guessing. Women wanted him. Men envied him. But everyone agreed on one thing. Julian never moved without purpose. That car screech, that stumble, that got Christine tripped over, not chance. Julian had planned it, and he hadn't planned it alone. Keat was in on it, his quiet partner, the piece no one ever saw coming, but we'll get back to her. Christine was 25, bright-skinned, soft-spoken, with sharp features that carried an almost stubborn pride. She had never had a boyfriend, not because no one tried, but because her standards were set sky-high. Ordinary didn't move her. She wanted the refined, the rare, the luxury of life in all its forms. It was her silent weakness, the latest handbags, high-end perfumes, salon visits like clockwork. If it shimmered, Christine's eyes lingered. People whispered she was too picky, but to her, settling was worse than being single. Standards weren't just her rules. They were her shield, her silent crown. And yet, her beauty? Striking, deliberate, unforgettable. The men still came. Wherever she walked, heads turned. Always. She never chased attention. It chased her, like a shadow she couldn't shake. Even her picture, just a picture, made men sit straighter, stiff with attention, as if the frame itself carried her presence. And yet, in all of this, she had never had a boyfriend. Rumor whispered she was still untouched, still a virgin. That whisper, that rarity, was what turned curiosity into obsession, interest into desperation. So the night her cousin Joshua, half-joking, flashed her photo to Julian's circle, it wasn't just a picture anymore. It was bait. It was spark. And for those boys, it was the beginning of war. Christine had no clue. Her own cousin's circle would light the match that set her whole story ablaze. But before Julian ever entered the scene, there were three. Joshua, Christine's cousin, late 20s, cheerful, naive, always eager to impress. His role, harmless at first, just flashing her photo to his boys like a casual brag. Nick, witty, sarcastic, always looking for drama, the group's entertainer. His role, he takes Joshua's joke and fuels it, teasing Webster, egging things on. Webster, competitive, insecure, desperate to prove himself. His role, he takes the bait, swears he'll win Christine, and sets the first stake. So here's where it all started. A night of noise, bottles clinking, laughter spilling over. By the time they stumbled back into the house, tipsy and loose, the air was thick with mischief. Then Joshua, careless, playful, flips open his laptop, and that's when it happened. One click, one folder. This fine-ass girl popped up on the screen. Eyes pop, mouths drop. Curiosity set in. Yo, bro, who is she? Damn, she's fine. Bro, can I know her? They were all over the place. Joshua? Joshua was reluctant, hesitant. Because normally, these boys, they were not saints. They played girls. No one had serious intentions. And his cousin? Oh no. Joshua wasn't about to let her get dragged into that web. He said flat out, nah. After some back and forth, and Joshua still wouldn't let go, Nick and Webster backed off. Or at least they pretended to. Nick, he laughed the whole thing off. But Webster, he had a plan. That night, Webster lay awake, sleepless, plotting, scheming, thinking of how to get that golden number. Her name was Christine. Here's the thing. Nick was closer to Joshua, so Webster tried to rope him into the mission. And Nick? Oh, Nick loved it. Mischievous, playful, adventurous. He liked the idea, but had no clue how to pull it off. Still, he was excited. He laughed so hard just imagining how this would play out. So the boys made a plan. When Joshua fell asleep, they would sneak into his phone and steal the golden number. That night came. Joshua was knocked out. Nick took his phone, tiptoed into Webster's room. They searched, scrolled, typed. Christine's name, nowhere to be found. They guessed names, tried everything. Nothing worked. After minutes of sweating, they gave up and put the phone back. What Nick and Webster didn't know? Joshua had carefully and deliberately disguised Christine's number after all the drama that followed their curiosity. He knew his friends could be mischievous. Well, at least they did that with other girls in the past, stealing numbers. But Nick wasn't done. Oh no. He wanted to see this plan go wild, so he got a bright idea. He'd make Joshua call Christine himself, and then trace the number later in the call log. That evening, when the guys got back from their daily grind, Nick knew it was time. He quickly texted Webster, "Call my phone now." Seconds later, ring, ring. Nick picked up, faked a whole conversation like he had a girl stranded in Kenton. Oh, one part I left out? Joshua and his friend didn't live in the same city as Christine. Christine was in Kenton. It was like 45 minutes from Phoenix where the boys lived. Okay, back to the story. Joshua, he was right there in the background, the whole time curious and watching the drama unfold. Nick hung up, turned to Joshua, serious face. "Bro, please, my baby cousin is stranded in Kenton. She needs a place to spend the night." Joshua gasped. "Oh man, sorry to hear that. Let me call Christine. Maybe she can help." Joshua was a kind guy, at least to his friends. Not the type that will turn his back on such requests, especially from a friend. And bingo! The plan worked. He dialed her number, but Christine said she couldn't help. Already had a roommate. Didn't matter. The boys had what they came for. Nick immediately recorded the time, just so he could complete the second part of the task accurately. So moving on. Later that night, the golden number was retrieved. Oh, wait. The guys couldn't believe what they found. Joshua disguised Christine's number as art gallery. Hilarious. And just like that, Webster and Christine started texting. At first, Christine was irritated, confused how he got her digits, and unsure of who he really was. She even threatened to block him off.
"I'll block you, and I mean it."
But one thing about Webster, he wasn't rich, but he was a smooth talker and very good with sweet lies, and Webster, the guy never gave up easy. He kept at it, smooth talking, persistent, and finally, he got what he wanted. A date. Webster was a man on a mission. One weekend, he devised a plan. Destination, Kenton, just an hour away. Calm, casual confidence. No car, no problem. With his fine boy swag and a fresh haircut, he boarded a bus as if he were a king, riding into conquest. The very moment he arrived, he made a bold move straight into a perfume store. He chose the sharpest fragrance on the shelf. That was his weapon, his tried and tested charm. Confidence level? 100%. Then, the call. "Hello, Christine, I'm in Kenton. Meet me at Mr. Biggs, just a street from your place." To his surprise, Christine replied,
"Hey, Webster, why don't you come pick me? My sister's here."
Excited, chest out, a green light. Webster's chest expanded. This was it. He walked carefully to her place. Guy's confidence was boosting like he just rushed a can of energy drink. He felt unstoppable. Guess what? Nah. Wait till you find out. Slow steps. Measured breath. He must not sweat. He must not falter. At the gate, he dialed again. "Hey, Christine, I'm outside." "Okay, 1 second." And then came the first heartbreak. She swung open the big gate. The car gate, the kind of entrance reserved for men who arrived in Benzes, not a young man who had trekked from the junction. Webster froze, his jaw dropped. Confidence fell instantly, cut in half. And when Christine stepped out, reality struck. Her pictures had told half the story. In person, she was radiant, absolutely stunning. Webster's heart sank even deeper. Meanwhile, in her mind, this one came on foot. Me? Christine? Jean? I have men with cars begging for my time, and this is what shows up? Still, she let him in, but only as far as a shed by the gate, a boundary line. He would go no further. Oh, Christine? She was already disgusted. You could see it on her face, that look of, what is this nonsense? This was absolutely ridiculous. And here comes Webster, with only courage in his pocket. But inside Webster's head, he was screaming, "Man, this girl is fine!" Those pictures didn't capture even half her beauty. And that realization, it crushed his confidence. He no longer thought he stands a chance. Not 1 inch. Chicks like this, we are for the big ballers, not for a county champ like me. Hell no, I'm saving this perfume for my next lucky catch. But still, he just wanted to see it through. And let's not forget his partner in crime, Nick, was waiting for gist. Webster sat there, perfume still tucked safely in his bag, scrambling for words that refused to come. He stuttered, faltered, and fell silent, his eyes fixed helplessly on her beauty. And just then, Christine snapped.
"Hello, what's wrong with you? Can't you talk?"
Game over! Webster rose to his feet, defeated. But one thing he would not abandon, that perfume. He clutched it like a man holding on to the last shred of dignity. He mumbled a goodbye and walked away. Christine laughed from the gate, all the way back inside. And Webster, he carried that perfume home, with shame, with disappointment, and with one heavy story saved only for Nick. Before Webster could get back to the bus station, he got a text on his phone. Guess who? It was Christine, typed in bold letters. Loose my number! Webster burst out into a wild laughter. He didn't care. He just actually realized he made a big fool of himself. He wasn't as smooth and charmed up as he thought. And in his mind, this would be a gist of the decade. Webster shows up in Phoenix that evening, looking like life just body slammed him. Head down, steps heavy, like a man who went to war and came back without his sword. Yeah? His whole vibe? Pure defeat. Nick takes one look at the door, doesn't even need 2 seconds. Guy, talk. Webster drops the bag, sits slow, and then, slowly, he holds up this perfume bottle, like some sad trophy. Boom! They're gone. Both of them. Loud, ugly laughter. Flat Webster just shakes his head. She opened the car gate, bro. Confused, Nick blinks. The car gate? Serious. Webster nods. Dead serious. No car. Just me. Trekking in. That's it. That's all Nick needed. The mental image of Mr. Smooth Guy, Mr. Cool Webster, walking through a car gate with no car. Big laugh. He collapses, laughing like a maniac, clapping like a seal at SeaWorld. You? Webster? Trekking through a car gate? Nah, you're finished. But Webster doesn't even blink. Face locked. Eyes like stone. Serious. Nick, she's fine. Too fine. Pictures lied. In real life, my whole system just shut down. I froze. Thank God I didn't even bring out this perfume. She might have unleashed that wild dog. That was barking the whole time, laughing. And Nick, he's gone, dying. They're both cracking up like idiots. Then Webster lifts the perfume bottle, holding it up like Exhibit A. Nick leans in, grin wide, teasing. So the Webster I know, funny guy, smooth talker, it's official, nothing but a Phoenix champion, defeated. Exactly. Game over. Webster sinks deeper into the couch. Nick's still laughing, until he snaps his fingers. And here comes Julian. Here's the thing about Julian. He wasn't Nick's guy. Not at first. He came in through Webster. They'd been cool for a while. Laughs, late nights, chasing the same chaos. And little by little, that friendship slid him straight into the trio's circle. In like the hallway's his runway. Smile easy. Steps casual. Smelling like $1 billion. Forgot something. Thought I'd swing back. But then he sees Webster, face bruised with defeat, pride leaking everywhere. Julian stops mid-stride. What's going on here? Nick doesn't waste a breath. Story time. Our boy Webster just came back from a mission and failed spectacularly. Amused, Julian raises a brow, drops onto the couch like it's a throne. All right, start talking. Webster tries to wave it off. Nah, not happening. Nick's already in full commentator mode. Blow by blow, play by play. By the time he gets to the car gate, humiliation, Julian is gone. Doubled over, palm on his chest, laughter spilling like champagne. Then he straightens up, wipes his eyes. Show me the picture. Phone feels heavy. Unlock, swipe, hand over. Julian looks once, and the room shifts. That grin? Dead. Voice drops. Damn. Then louder. She's beautiful. Webster, you fumbled. But me? I'll get this girl. Nick's head snaps up. Ah, here we go. Webster leans forward, chest out. Oh, because you've got a car, you think that's enough? You're not smoother than me? Julian leans back. Smug? Nah, more like king mode. One word. Bet. And just like that, the whole room freezes. Heavy. Dangerous. Final. Tense. Game on. A sound from the other room. Then... the sound. Joshua at the door. Instant silence. Because Christine, that's his cousin, and this whole game wasn't supposed to touch his ears. In a flash, they signal each other. No words, just instinct. Bag grabbed, bottles left. They slide out quick, like conspirators caught red-handed. Next stop, a nearby bar. Low light. Cheap stools. Perfect cover for the madness they were cooking up. Julian has always been more of a cocky guy. He didn't need an introduction. His reputation, always 2 steps ahead. This guy was notorious. Break a heart on Monday. Buy flowers for another on Tuesday. Fly out with someone else's sister by Friday. Money? Never a problem. Charm? Overflowing. His problem was focus. Julian treated love like a buffet. Sample everything. Commit to nothing. But then... he saw the picture, and his eyes said it all. This wasn't just another pretty face. This was a challenge. And if Julian loved anything more than women, it was winning. Julian leaned grinning, like he owned the whole city. His watch alone could pay rent for the entire block. But the crazy part? No one knew what he actually did. Not Webster, not Nick, not even Joshua. Money flowed around Julian like air. But his hustle? Always. A mystery. Julian took another look at the picture, whistled low. Odd. Wow, that's not just a girl, that's the girl. You guys really think you stand a chance? Bro, relax. Not every lady is impressed by shiny toys. Nick nearly dropped his phone laughing. Says the guy still Ubering dates around. My guy. When real men are spinning ladies in sleek wheels, boys are spraying perfume everywhere. hoping she doesn't notice the bus stop dust on their shoes. Julian exploded. Exactly. Webster, let's make this fun. A bet. But here's the thing. Bets don't just end with laughter. They echo. And this one? It was about to follow them like a shadow. Straight into danger. What started as a joke just became a war. If I win this girl, you're coming to my place, 1 full month, my housekeeper, and I'll invite her over, just to watch you mop my floors. Imagine that humiliation. Webster's face stiffened, but he wasn't backing down. Fine, but if I win, you're giving me your car. That way, next time, no girl will ever say no just because I don't have one. Then, crack. All three lost it, laughing. Stupid, reckless, totally Julian. A mystery millionaire, too much time, too much charm. A bet that could flip their whole friendship upside down. But before the night was over, Julian was already on the phone with one of his guys back in Kenton. I told you, this man has connects everywhere. A mystery millionaire pulling strings like a puppeteer. And while the others were still laughing it off, Julian? He was already plotting. But Webster wasn't just sitting there, waiting to take the L. Nah, dude had a plan. While Julian was busy cruising the block like some discount movie villain, Webster was in the apartment, pacing like a man on the edge. He pulls out his phone, thumbs flying, and sends a message. Find Christine. Tell her what's coming. This wasn't about winning anymore. This was sabotage. If Christine found out before Julian made his move, the whole bet would blow up in his face. Bold move, Webster. Risky. Julian stayed a couple days, sliding in, sliding out, like he owned a spare key. Joshua shows up. Game over. Laughter stops. Bet disappears. Not a word. Not a hint. By the weekend, Julian's gone. Back to Kenton. Fast wheels. Faster women. But this wasn't just another weekend. This was a mission. Julian knew her street, like the back of his hand. Every corner, every cafe, every crack in the sidewalk. Flowers? Pickup lines? Forget it. Julian didn't roll like that. He was a strategist. The kind of guy who makes coincidence look like fate. Car eases into the neighborhood. Smirking, Julian smiles to himself. One bump in. Carefully staged. Natural. She'd think it was chance, but Julian? He'd already written the script. But here's the twist. While Julian's planning his smooth entrance, Webster's plotting sabotage. This isn't just about winning the girl anymore. It's war inside the circle. Julian didn't move reckless. He mapped the streets like a general. Every cafe, every corner, every routine. Then jackpot. Christine's salon. Every 2 weeks like clockwork. Next visit, 9 days out. Perfect. Now, Julian's secret weapon? Not flowers, not cheesy lines. It was a random girl he'd been smashing on the side. His loyal fallback. She didn't need romance. She needed cash. And for Julian, she wasn't the prize. She was the play, the decoy, the setup. Meanwhile, Webster, man, was scrambling. The Uber driver, the one guy who was supposed to be his lifeline, flat out said nope. Didn't care. Didn't want to get dragged in. Webster's plan? Dead before it even left the driveway. So while Julian's writing his script, Webster's stuck without actors. Webster sat alone, jaw tight, running the numbers in his head. It wasn't just the bet anymore. Christine was the prize, the only thing that mattered. Losing to Julian meant losing her. And worse, looking like a fool. He couldn't stomach that. So he did what desperate men do. He started grasping. Calls, favors, half-baked schemes. Anything to tilt the game back in his favor. He knew Julian's kind, smooth, dangerous, the type who could turn coincidence into destiny with one smile. Webster's pride wouldn't let him play fair. If sabotage was the only way, so be it. And if it came down to handing over his car, forget it. Better to break the rules than hand Julian the win. Desperation crept into his eyes as he wasn't just fighting for Christine, he was fighting for his ego. Julian was already smiling, certain of himself. His loyal smashmate of years? She'd play her part. A little extra cash, and she'd be more than ready to pull it off. He was counting down the days like it was already in the bag. But across town, Webster was restless. Every tick of the clock was a threat. Every minute Julian gained was one step closer to defeat. He couldn't wait around to hear the breaking news. Julian wins. Not like that. So Webster made a bold move. Risky. Reckless. The kind of gamble that could flip the whole game. Or burn him alive, trying. Christine had already blocked Webster everywhere. No way he'd risk the number tied to his name. So he walks into the gas station, grabs a prepaid flip phone off the shelf. Minutes in a little scratch card, no ID, zero trail. Classic 2007 move. 2 minutes later, he's in a shadowed alcove, thumb working the keys. He dials. Christine picks up. Hello? Webster slides into a fake voice, fake name, fake everything. I just want to warn you. I overheard some guys talking about you. They put a bet on you. The guy's name is Julian. Before she can even speak, click. Line dead. Burner shoved back in his pocket like a used tissue. Webster leans back, chest puffed. Mission accomplished, at least in his own head. The irony? Christine hung up, but guess what? She didn't even hear a single word. She tried to call back. Burner phone. Deadline. So she moved on. Webster was desperate but stupid. Should have waited for a response. So the day came. Julian's girl strolls into the salon ready to play decoy. But guess what? Christine? Nowhere in sight. Half an hour later, Keat's turn in the chair. Still no Christine. She's supposed to call, text, signal Julian to pull up. But nope, no Christine. Keat gets her hair done, grabs her bag. Still no Christine. She hits Julian with the text, "Come get me." And just like that, failed mission. So Julian pulls up to get Keat. And guess where they are? Christine's street. And then, boom! There she was, Christine, walking straight in his direction. She didn't know him, of course, but he already clocked her. And Julian? Man didn't hesitate. Instinct made a sharp U-turn. He swung into action. Without much thinking, he pulled over. Too sudden. Too sharp. Christine startled. She tripped. Julian rushed over, hand out, helping her back to her feet. The perfect opening. Looks like I ruined your outfit. Let me take you back to change, Christine snapped. Do you even know where I live? How dare you? Julian, calm and steady, met her eyes. Guess I don't. But if you let me drive, I'll find out the right way. The perfume lingered, his fresh eyes steady, the sleek ride gleaming, her fury held. But in her mind, that was all it took. Man, this guy is cute. She told herself off, sharp. Still, the thought sat there, stubborn and true. Julian forgot all about Keat. Her calls, her texts, no response. So she walked back home, heat in her chest, mad. Terribly mad. And that was when it hit her. Wait. This guy disrespects me all the time, and here I am, even helping him chase another girl? Another girl to use, to abuse. What was I thinking? The anger bit deep. She swore then, whatever Julian was up to, she would make it futile. Because right then, all that mattered was Christine, almost in his arms, right before his eyes. And Christine? She wasn't thinking about her ripped clothes. She was running her eyes everywhere, like, who is this guy? That smell. It softened the edges she swore to keep. Julian leaned on charm, easy. The timing, the ride, that smell, all stacked in Julian's favor. Christine's mind said no, but her eyes were busy running all over. Julian caught it, not with force, not with pressure, just patience, like a hunter who knew its prey was circling back. Come on, would you believe this was the same girl that treated Webster like trash? Well, good for him though. So Julian, being who he is, persisted, and offered to take her home. Wherever you're going in Kenton, it won't take that long. But my mind tells me you're close. A smile forced itself through, and just like that, Christine was sliding into Julian's arms. But while Christine's head was spinning with cologne and clean rides, Keat? She was standing outside his door. No answer, no knock. Just her face lit by the screen, texts piling up, all left unread. Her smile faded, tensed. That wasn't oops, he's busy. That was disrespect. What Keat's about to do next? Yeah? Julian's not ready.